Hi everyone, today we're going to take a look at a multi-port USB charger from Archeer. This has 4 regular USB A type ports and 1 USB C type, which also supports Qualcomm QuickCharge 3.0. Now if this looks familiar to you, all of your sockets being eaten up by different USB chargers, you might want to consider a multi-port charger. It converts this mess into a neater and much more manageable setup. You can see we're only consuming 1 socket, so we've got all of these free, and the whole thing is just a lot tidier than what was there before. And you could even go one step further and tie your cables with cable ties just to make them more neat when they're not in use. Now, unlike other cheaper multi-port chargers, this one can output maximum power on every single port simultaneously. So each one can output 2.4 amp at the same time. That means all of these devices are going to charge super fast. Now for all the techies out there, let me plug in some watt meters and show you exactly how much power is being drawn. Let's start with the AC side. So here you can see we're plugged into an AC watt meter and we're measuring around 60 to 62 watts. The maximum of this is meant to be around 66 watts. The fact that we're drawing 60 watts already gives a good indication that we are drawing a lot of power to these devices. So this is what it looks like when you try to plug all of your watt meters in at the same time. It's quite a mess, and the problem is they seem to be interfering with the charging of the devices, because on the AC side we're now only drawing under 20 watts, so I don't know exactly what's happening, but they are causing a problem. So I'm going to unplug them and we'll just measure one at a time. So again, I've got all of the devices charging, and just to show you, on the AC side we're drawing around 55 and it sometimes goes up to around 60 watts. So let's start with the power bank here. We're at 2.1 amp, around 10 watts. Hopefully you can see that okay on camera. On the next one, we're at around 1 amp. Sorry I can't bring it closer to the camera, but the cables are kind of getting nudged all over the place. On the next one, we're drawing just under 1 amp. Or there you go, it's actually jumped up now, 1.5 amp. This battery is actually very low, so it's probably still negotiating what charge speed it wants to go at. So this is the iPad, and we're going at around 1.7 amp, 8.6 or around 8 watts. And finally we have the MacBook. Now unfortunately, because I'm on camera, the MacBook has decided to start being naughty and it's only drawing 2.5 watts. I don't know what's happening, because when I did this test earlier, before I started recording, I was drawing 10 watts out of this. So I really don't think it's a problem with the charger. I think it's a problem with the MacBook, because I recently spilt something on the keyboard, and ever since then it's been kind of erratic in charging. So let's swap the MacBook out for something else. Now I know this isn't a completely fair test, because this should have been connected when everything else was connected, but you know, what can I do? I don't really want to reshoot the whole thing. So I've got an electronic load here. I've set it to 2 amp or just under 2 amp, and you can see it's drawing out that port just fine. And just for the sake of comparison, let's plug this in directly. So that's still 2 amp being drawn, and then let's recheck our power bank on this port and see if it's still pulling out a high power. So here's the power bank, and you can see it's drawing 2 amp. Of course, it's already started to get a charge, so we would expect to see a little bit of a drop. So there you go. I've got a lot of stuff charging. The charger is getting warm, but if you knew the temperature of the room I was in right now, you'd be amazed, because I am absolutely sweating. It's around 35 degrees Celsius in this room, so I'm really hot, and the charger, it's warm, but it's not too hot. I'll leave this going for a while and just see how hot it gets. I expect it's going to get pretty hot, because with an ambient temperature of 35 degrees and charging all of this stuff, it's probably going to warm up, but let's see what kind of temperature it gets to. So it's been around 15 minutes and it's still warm to the touch. I guess you could say hot, but it's not so uncomfortable that I can't hold my hand there. And I think for most people, they probably wouldn't have the high ambient temperature that I've got right now. So, heat wise, I think there's no issue. Now, like I mentioned earlier, it does have support for Qualcomm QuickCharge 3.0, and that is backwards compatible with 2.0 and 1.0. The only downside is that it's on a USB-C type port. Now I have a power bank here which supports QuickCharge 3.0 and it has USB-C type, but the problem is it doesn't support QuickCharge on that USB-C type. It only supports it on micro USB, and that's pretty much the same with every power bank I've seen, which means if you want to use this QuickCharge on a QuickCharge power bank, you'll need a small adapter like this which converts USB-C to USB-A. It's pretty cheap and pretty common, so it's not a big deal. Let's use my watt meter to see how fast this charger can charge this power bank. Here you go, you can see it's starting to negotiate. It's currently at 7.5 volts, 1.9 amp, and it's renegotiating again, 5 volts, 1.6. Eventually it should get up to its maximum speed, which is around 12 volts, 2 amp I believe. So right now we're at 20 watts, which is 7.5 volts, 2.5 amp. Now they basically negotiate with each other depending on their temperature, the quality and length of the cable, and many other factors. The maximum that I've seen it charge is at 24 watts. Now I have a feeling it's only going as high as 20 watts because I'm using a really long charge cable at the moment. Let's swap it out for a shorter cable. So I've swapped to a shorter cable now. Let's see how they can negotiate. They're currently at 5 volts. Oh, it's jumping around so fast I can't keep up. Let's give it a second to negotiate. There you go, 7.37 volts, 3.1 amp, 23 watts, and it does peak up to 24 watts. So that's an incredibly fast charge rate, and that's the power of Qualcomm QuickCharge. So I think that pretty much sums up everything there is to know about this multi-port charger. It really does save a lot of space, it makes things a lot neater, and it charges your devices really fast. But if you do have any questions, put them in the comment section down below. Although this is a pretty short video, this took me a long time to record. So if you did enjoy this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.